happening. So we really think a lot about all that cool stuff and have worked with some really cool brands to try to make the content experience great and feel great about the fact that we've given some creators a way to figure out how they might be able to build a business for themselves on Periscope as well. That's the
bingo.
Yeah. All right.
Bingo.
I could not get online again.
He just walked out.
He left. So, John, you take questions. All right, so we don't like from there. We'll all shut up questions. But I have one for you first. So I'm curious from a standpoint of building a channel, and then you're a businessman, so is Mr. Khan. From a standpoint of, I think, your own branding, your own business, how has Periscope creating Periscope TV impacted your business outside of just what the live streaming is doing?
He's back.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the ability to figure out how to create content in this new world really has been, you can't even put a price tag. Really, no, it's been great to see so many amazing creators in the first 6 to 9 months of Periscope, and now more celebrities and media are coming a little bit later, giving everybody else a chance to figure out creatively their voice there, give them the head start they need to find their voice and their place before traditional, for example, celebrity would. And so that more than anything has been great for me, just being able to learn about that.
All right, Mr. Jackson, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. It's to both of you, John and Alex. Out of all the content you've created, John, with your evolution of Parachute TV, and Alex, you described your first, pressing the red button. Out of the content you guys have created, what have you found to be the most engaging content for each one of you as we stand here today? What type of content has worked the best for you?
Sure, I'll go. Yeah. Well, I do believe deeply in what Alex was talking about with the power of the personality, connecting with your audience, and the constant need for that. But I also think that Periscope is really well used in the way that it was built to capture something that's happening live. And I think that the obvious thing is something's happening and you want to show it and you go live. But beyond that, I think there's the ability to have programming that is tied to that live event, interactive stuff, or to even, I think with some of our, as I said, we've experimented with scripted programming to allow the fact that you're live to allow you to interact with the audience, give them a say, which we found with a horror format that we tried out, which was kind of like Choose Your Own Adventure meets Blair Witch Project. And the audience loves it. And so I think that finding ways to use this kind of platform in creative ways that keeps everybody excited and entertained is at the top of my list of what seems to work well.
Party this one.
I'm not sure which one you're saying.
Why are you guys singing?
Yeah. I know.
Start singing, Alex.
Oh, the hearts went.
Which is a great question. One of my broadcasts I do constantly because it's, I guess, the most engaged one when I take a look at the number of comments and also engagement, is the promotion scope. That's a scope I do every Sunday where people can promote themselves in my stream to gain followers. And the other scope, which works pretty well, is that kind of talent show I have, where people can, via split screen, call via Skype and present a talent. They can sing, they can paint, they can do anything. So basically content which is engaging for the users, where they can be a real part in it and get something out of it, which means promotion. Everyone on Periscope is looking for exposure, is looking for gaining more followers, gaining more viewers, and to be a part of the community. So when you think about concepts, which work on Periscope, think, what would you like as a user? What would you like? What would be an added value for yourself? And if you see something is really working out, make it a program and stick with it. And that's what we're going on.
Question by the back? Yeah, if you get all the microphones, we can hear it on the stream as well. Sorry.
Coming from a post-production world, where things nicely edited and titles and all that kind of stuff, I'm wondering from the both of you, whether the potential is there in live streaming for like multi-camera stuff with all that titles and sort of thing, if that would be interesting to an audience, or would it look so much like traditional broadcasting, the HLN and all that, that it would turn people off? So, thoughts on that?
Multi-camera but live?
Yes.
Multi-camera but live is awesome. I mean, you know, there are endless possibilities. I mean, if you start thinking about being able to do something live where, I mean, we've done some programming with drones, and the ability to be live on somebody who's operating a drone and interacting with the audience the way you guys have become accustomed on Periscope, and to have a camera on a drone as well, flying through the sky, and be able to toggle between the two of those. I mean, that's just one of many examples of, you know, endless possibilities of using lots of cameras, and I think we'll definitely, you know, hear a lot more about that.
As you know, I'm scoping about myself basically. It would be cool, I mean, a drone over the left, another drone on the right, a camera coming from the front. For me, it won't add much value, right? But I agree, definitely with Jon, that for other people it will be great to have that. And options is always good. But I'm also a friend of simplicity. I like things where people don't need to think much, like pressing on a red button. You know, it's that easy. You don't need to think about different camera angles and so on. So for some people, they will, like you with Parachute TV, they will come up with great content and will be like a real production, right? I think for 99% of the users, they won't really use it, right? They will just use the smartphone, and that's the DNA. You have to think, when you think about a company you're using, like Facebook, like Periscope, like Twitter, think about the DNA of the company. Where's the company coming from? And what do they try to achieve? Periscope is a kind of eye to the world. You can discover the world. Think about the streams which are featured. They won't feature a scoper like me talking to the people. They want to see like scuba diving scope, someone who's flying. If you want to get featured, find a volcano and go through it. They're probably going to feature that, right? You think so? There's some on Periscope, but there you go. They want to see some crazy stuff happening around the world. That's the DNA of them. And yeah. But that's one great with the drone though, or the volcano.
Only do it once.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, sir.
Jon, I wanted to ask you, since you have a background as a journalist, as you know, I was named you for a number of years, what do you think the average scoper could learn from a journalist? What principles of journalism do you think? I know we talk a lot about how us scopers are citizen journalists and we're sort of helping people report the news, but what about someone who's been steeped in that? What lessons should we learn from that background that would help make us better storytellers?
Well, you know, there was we were talking actually Tom earlier about this. We were covering San Bernardino, and there was a lot of there was a lot of information coming into my stream, and some of that is misinformation because people can say whatever they want, and sometimes people just want to get you to say something that might not be accurate. And so I think that just sort of if you're looking to cover something, sort of from a news perspective, I think, being able to say what you can say, and that's usually what's literally in front of you. That's what you can say for sure. And then, enabling the community to help police itself and help you along. That would be the one comment I think. However, the truth of the matter is, if you think about all the big media companies that are now rooted in journalism that everybody talks about, especially in BuzzFeed or Vice, they do everything differently than the way that it's done in traditional. Vice does not want to hire people who have worked in traditional TV because they won't tell stories the same way. So I think that it's really great for people who are finding their creative voice in Periscope to continue down that path and do it that way, because if it's making engaging content like what Alex talks about, that's what people want. I don't think there's any value in coming in and setting up like an anchor desk and big tie and poking the horse down like that if that's not what people want. And I think that if the reverse is true, that people who do it the traditional way should really be looking at creators like this and all of you to get tips on how they should stay relevant. Otherwise, they might be a little less relevant.
Right, so I think there's a little bit of break before we have the next group, but I think one of the themes we were talking about earlier on stage is really the idea of the unique creator, and I think this is also a great example of two very successful Periscopers that are doing things in completely different formats. All three of us have a technology background on what we're doing. Not backside. I'm too close to him. He said he's not sure if you guys want an extra camera. I'm sure some of you had ideas for his camera.